Beach camera recorded what no one was supposed to see. A huge hairy blob that washed up on a beach in Oregon has been identified by scientists. It was discovered on October 12th near Florence, Oregon, by local resident Adoni Tegner, who told local KOIN 6 News that it smelled of decomposing mammal and was covered with what looked like stringy white hairs. "It just didn't look like anything what I've seen before," he said. "It looked more stringy, and it almost looked like it had been a large squid or something." Dead animals often wash up in states of decay that render them unrecognizable. When large animals die at sea, the gases produced by the decomposition of their bodies make the carcass float, which then washes ashore. The strange blob was covered in stringy filaments, which led Tegner to wonder if it was a whale or some other creature. If it hadn't been torn apart, it was really odd how the muscle structure broke down, and almost made it look like it had some kind of tentacles on it, he said. Scientists agree that this misshapen beast was likely the decomposed body of a dead whale. Based on the photos, I'd guess the blob is a decomposing baleen whale carcass, Mark Clements, a paleobiology professor at the University of Wyoming, told Newsweek. The hair-like structures could be baleen poking through, or they could be remnants of the muscle fibers that run along the throat and stomach. Whales often die of old age or disease, but can also end up on beaches as a result of stranding, where it ends up on the sand and can't get back to the water. This sometimes happens en masse, with tens of whales or dolphins dying on the same beach. The strange filamentous hairs covering the blob were also suggested to be a result of tendons and collagen fibers decaying after different rates, creating a furry texture across the carcass. It's heavily decomposed, which is why it looks like that, and different tissues will decompose at different rates. So tendons, collagen fibers, various proteins will decompose at different rates, one of which I assume is the white hair they're discussing. Colin Brown, a professor and fish biologist at Macquarie University in Australia, suggested that the hair might be decomposing fat instead. The white hair is mostly made of bacteria breaking down strings of blubber, he told Newsweek. It must really smell bad. Dead whales washed up on beaches rapidly begin to smell as the bacteria decay the carcass, producing gases like cadaverine and putrescin. It would make it so you never want to eat fish again. It's horrible, one Richmond, Virginia resident previously told ABC News in June in reference to a dead whale washing up on a local beach. "It's just the worst stench you could ever believe. It was just a putrid smell." When whale carcasses wash ashore, local authorities don't often want to leave it to rot on the sand, as the smell can be off-putting to beachgoers and can attract scavengers to the beach. Another creepy discovery. A strange creature covered in seaweed has washed up on a Western Australia beach. Tarly Smith was riding her horse along the beach in Harvey Estuary, south of Perth, when she saw the creature. "When I first saw it, I just thought it was a stingray flapping on the water and caught in seaweed," she told Yahoo News. "Then I thought maybe it's a baby seal." Smith could then see it moving slightly in the water, and it became clear that it wasn't a type of fish. "I stood there and watched it for a bit, but then it just lay down and gave up," Smith told Yahoo News. As she got closer to the creature, she found that it was a large bird known as a whistling kite. The species is native to Australia and has a wingspan of about 20 to 24 inches. The bird feasts on fish, which could explain how it came to be in the ocean. Smith used her saddle blanket to pick up the bird, avoiding its talons. The Western Australia Seabird Rescue, WASR, said in a Facebook post. The bird was then transported to the rescue center, where they're watching over it. The kite is still quite weak and is receiving supportive care at WA Wildlife, a wonderful wildlife hospital that we use for most of our birds that require veterinary care. The bird has no obvious injuries, but once it is stable enough to undergo anesthesia, it will have x-rays to confirm there are no breaks, Rachel Olson, the volunteer rescuer with Wasser, who collected the whistling kite, told Newsweek. "If we're lucky, it will just be a matter of building up its strength, weight, and conditioning before it can be released again. If there is a break or injury, the veterinary team at WA will do whatever possible to help. Olson said these birds have been severely impacted by human interference, which could be how it ended up in the ocean. Whether it's through loss of habitat, decreased fish stocks, introduced predators, entanglements from fishing line, it seems endless sometimes. When you look at all of those problems collectively, there's not much an individual can do to affect change. But when you look at an individual bird in need, you absolutely choose to step in and help, Olson said. And while one bird may seem like a drop in the ocean, if you can inspire others with that story, then suddenly you have a group of people who are all passionate about the lives of our native birds, and I feel like that can only be a good thing. I also have a bit of a soft spot for whistling kites. They have a very distinctive call, hence their name. You will often hear them before you see them. The rescue center hopes the bird will make a full recovery so that it can be released back into the wild.